This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, college football fans, and welcome to the Primetime Podcast. My name is Ricky Widmer, and as always, I'm joined by the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
How are you doing today, Brandon?
You know, Ricky, it's actually been a really awful day, but for the most part, right now, I'm doing okay.
Can I make your day even a little bit better?
I think you probably could.
Bit.
I think you probably could.
College football gets back underway this Friday.
I know, and isn't it great? I'm excited. I am really excited.
I'm kind of on two edges here because I can't wait to get the college season started, but I'm kind of upset that I have to sit through Hawaii and Cal before I get good games.
Well, I was going to say, I'd be even more excited if that wasn't the opening game because, hey, you know what? It may end up being a pretty good game, but it's two teams that I don't think really are going anywhere this year, so it would have been nice maybe. I like that they put the Florida State and Ole Miss game on Monday night, but you almost want to say, it would have been fun to have maybe kicked off with a game like that.
That would have been can you imagine Florida State, Ole Miss to start the season? I mean, you got Chad Kelly going up against fucking Dalvin Cook and his boys, but we got to wait until Monday. That's like the VT Ohio State game for this year.
But that ended up being a pretty good game, at least for the first half.
No, it did. And then Action Braxton did his Madden 16 move, and it was all over from there. And just a quick reminder to everyone listening on SoundCloud that if you're listening on SoundCloud as of October 1st, no longer going to be on SoundCloud. We are going to move to blogtalkradio.com/Primetime Podcast. But we got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Going to be talking some Notre Dame Fighting Irish with some recent suspensions and some other rulings that may come down for other players. Then we're going to be talking about the USC Trojans giving Max Brown the starting job 2 weeks before their opener against the Roll Tide Alabama Crimson Tide. And then we're going to end the podcast talking about some college football sleepers for this upcoming season. But Brandon, we are going to start in South Bend. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish have dismissed two players from their team in senior safety Max Redfield and then senior quarterback Devin Butler.
Butler's just out indefinitely.
Okay,
he is not suspended.
So
he's out indefinitely, but Butler was injured anyways for the first month. He was going to be out anyways.
And so Redfield's out. Then you got Butler suspended indefinitely. Then there's four other players. You got Tavon Cooney. You've got Kevin Seraphin, Ashton White, and Dexter Williams. We don't know what's going to happen with them. They were involved, but we're going to leave them to be done, like get a suspension or whatever inside the system. They're going to handle them in the system. And
for Kevin, I think it's Kevin Steverson.
Kevin
Stefferson. I think it's Steverson.
You're there to catch me when I'm falling, Brandon. You're there to catch me.
Just like a cloud, like you're falling a cloud. Nice clean fall.
I think I'd fall through a cloud because of my weight, but yeah, you're there to catch me.
Yeah, I may drop you because of your weight. You never know.
Trustful.
But don't fall too hard. But you kind of talked to, and I want to kind of get your point on this because I think that what Notre Dame has done, it's good. They've come out with a statement. They've taken some action, but I already know that you're not okay with it because it reminds you too much of Alabama, and I want to get your take.
Oh, it is the two sides of this is Alabama is a school with a football team that also has academics. Notre Dame is an academic institution that sometimes has a football team. That's the only difference in these two situations because to me, Notre Dame and Coach Kelly did the exact same thing that Alabama did, a month ago when we're talking about Cam Robinson and everything he got into. And the reason why I say that is I look at a guy like Max Redfield, and then I look at Butler. Like you said, Butler had an injury. Probably wasn't going to play much this season. Then you have a guy like Redfield who has been in trouble in the past. Two senior guys who are done after this season. It's just easy to let you go. We're just going to suspend you, get rid of you indefinitely. You're easy to get cut loose. The other guys, underclassmen, sophomores, freshmen. These are guys, what could you do for me in the future? One of them in Cooney, who is right now I'm looking at ourlads.com where I look at them for all the depth chart needs that I use for this podcast. That's not a sponsorship, people. I just really think that these guys, they keep an up-to-date depth chart, and that's what I want for you guys for the information I'm talking about. Right now, they have Tavon Cooney as the number one outside linebacker, one of the number one outside linebackers for Notre Dame. So to me, it sounds kind of fishy that, these two seniors, we're going to get rid of them. Yeah, whoa, they're bad. We're tough guys. Look at what we did. Yeah, we laid the law down. We laid it down. But what about these other 4 players, huh? Oh, don't look at them because they could actually do something for you in the future.
Well, Ricky, they are going to be subject to internal disciplinary action, and we don't know what that is. As Ricky does the air quotes
as I hit my mic.
But I think that you do sometimes have to leave it up to the coach and to the university to be able to deal with their players sometimes internally, and I think that that's exactly what they were doing at Alabama.
Then why not do it for all of them?
Well, because, I think that part of it may be that some people were more involved than others. Some may have had played more of a role in it than others. And I think it sounds like for Redfield and for Butler, maybe it was, maybe it's because of other things that may have happened that weren't brought up. And it was because sometimes we don't know internal things. There may be internal things where the coach is like, you know what? This is your last chance. You are on your last strike. If you have one more, you're off this team. You're off this team. And it may be for things that happen at practice. It may be for attitude. It may be for those types of things that you don't necessarily always hear about, which is why on something like this, you don't really get the full story. You get the story of what happened. You don't necessarily get what's the internal disciplinary measure going to be? What happened in the past necessarily that made him want to get rid of Redfield or made him feel like it was necessary to get rid of Redfield, and then Butler have him out for an indefinite suspension. With Butler's suspension, it makes sense to me because he wasn't going to be able to play for the first month anyways. That is an indefinite suspension. You have a couple of games, 4 games in that month. That's an indefinite suspension. Hopefully you're back from it already, but you weren't going to be able to do anything anyway. So that's like good, smart thinking, and that's maybe where he was going, maybe not. But I think that for the other guys, sometimes your involvement or lack thereof, sometimes that leads to what type of punishment are you going to receive from the school. Their name's already linked to something that's not good, and that is why there has to be punishment brought. But I think that it's good sometimes to be able to say, hey, you were the person who had the drugs. You were the person who had the unregistered gun. This is on you. You participated very closely. That's also on you too. Okay, you were with them. That's, it's sometimes wrong place, wrong time, wrong person you're hanging out with. And I think that that's when for these younger guys, maybe they don't know maybe they don't know better yet. You would think, okay, yes, they're young adults, blah, blah, blah. But, Ricky, you and I were in college. Mm-hmm. I know that for me personally, for certain things, there'd be write-ups or this or that. I got written up 2 times my freshman year. Sophomore, junior, senior, didn't get written up again. And it's not necessarily because I didn't do that stuff. It's because I was smart. They just need to learn to be smart.
And just get away with it.
Well, not necessarily, but you know what I'm saying though. It's about being smart about what you're doing. You can have fun, you can have a good time, and it doesn't. When I talk a clean good time, people are going to drink. You're going to drink when you're in college. I think that's okay as long as you're not reckless, as long as you're not getting behind the wheel of a car anytime. But you just need to be smart about the choices that you're making and realize that there are consequences with them. Whatever you want to do, there's good and there's positive and negative consequences with everything. And people may disagree with what I just said in the sense of, Brandon, are you promoting this, and this? No, I'm not. Am I promoting promoting having fun in college? Absolutely. But I don't think that getting marijuana and having a registered or unregistered gun is really fun. That's starting to get to the point of, okay, you're possibly borderline criminal right there.
You're not promoting it, but I'm going to start by saying I understand what you're saying, and I do understand where you're coming from because out of our experiences in college, you were actually on the college campus. You were living in the dorms while I was commuting each and every day to college, living at home through college because it was fucking cheaper and fucking home-cooked meals. Who could turn that down? But I'm going to start the next thought that I have with this kind of a saying. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night, Brandon. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But to me, it's kind of an all facade. It's like, oh, well, you know what? It's fine to have fun. It's okay to have this. I can understand why they did this and why they do this internally. But for me, I'm sitting there going, every single move when we get up to that D1 level, whether it's Notre Dame, Alabama, Illinois, Indiana, whether it's Ohio State, it's Michigan, it's Oregon, even if it's fucking Hodunk, Texas, which it's a team nobody fucking cares about. It's all about the football decision. How many times this season? Baylor, football. They put the football first. We look at Alabama. Put the football first. That isn't even the first time Alabama's done it. They've had a left tackle in the past get in trouble. Oh, we're going to suspend the other two. But hey, coach, what about the left tackle? Oh, no. Don't pay attention to him. We're not as deep at left tackle, so we need him. That's what I'm seeing here. This was a football decision. It was two seniors that, hey, we can manage not having these seniors on the field. We can take the rest of these guys, deal with it, and I'm using air quotes, internally, which basically means we're just going to give them a slap on the wrist so that they can play week 1 because we got to beat Texas week 1. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what it's now me coming to. It's not the argument of, oh, this is wrong, because yes, it is wrong. It's just me kind of, after the Alabama thing, now seeing this, it's just kind of this is how the hot dog is made. This is how it's made. You got to live with it. That's what it is.
But I think, though, too, is that you look at the guys who are going to get internal disciplinary measures taken against them. It's 3 sophomores and 1 freshman. They still have time to be able to learn. It's not necessarily to learn.
Then why not give them 1-year suspensions? Why not give them year suspensions? They're only
year suspension, Ricky. That does not make sense.
Wait, what I'm saying is and the reason why I throw out a year suspension is they're only sophomores and a freshman. So if you give them a year suspension, that's basically the same thing you're doing to Max Redfield, because he's only got 1 year left. You just suspended him for 1 year. He's done. So why not do the same for the others? They still have potentially 2 to 3 years left in their college career to learn not to make this mistake again.
You didn't suspend Max Redfield for the year. You kicked him off the team. You dismissed him from the team.
So
he's not part of the team.
His year's done. What other team's going to take him? That's what I'm saying. His year's done, whether you kicked him off or just suspended him. It's the connotation. It's the connotation, because another thing too, why would you just suspend these guys for a whole year? That does not make sense. That does not make sense to me whatsoever. I think that they've done exactly what they've needed to do. Again, we don't know what internal disciplinary measures mean. We don't know what that means. What do you think it means?
What do I think it means? I think it means you're doing a whole lot extra outside of what everyone else is doing. I think that you're having to work that much harder to prove you want to be part of Notre Dame football and that you're going to respect this university. I think it's a lot of those things that we may not see, because guess what? We don't need to see it. The media doesn't need to see it, because the school is saying we're going to take care of it. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to take care of it. You don't need to see what we're going to do. You just need to know we're going to do something. And I think for these young guys, they still have a chance to be able to mold them into mature young men, which at freshman and sophomore, I mean, you like to think you're mature at that age. Hell, you like to think you're mature right now at this age. But the thing
I'm 26
is that,
and I'm not mature yet.
The thing is that, guess what? That is what they're supposed to be doing. Suspending them for a year, I don't think does that. It doesn't do that, especially for a freshman and a sophomore. They're going to be, cursing out blah, blah, this and that, the other thing. That's not really teaching them. That's just kind of proving to everyone that, guess what? I can suspend someone for a year. And I think that this is the way to deal with it, because they're not seniors. They haven't had the speeches over and over of, hey, this is how we do things, blah, blah, blah. This is what is expected. You know what's expected when you go into a program like that, but now they see it. Now they see what's expected, and they're going to learn what's expected and how they're supposed to act. You know what I mean? In that sense, there's no need for a suspension with those guys, because they can still learn.
2 things. First, I'm going to modify what I said. if you think the year-long suspension's too long, you know what you do then? And this is to your point where you say, well, the school doesn't have to prove anything. It doesn't have to show to the media. I'm on the other side of, yeah, you kind of do. And I'm not saying that as a, like, I have to see because Ricky's the old high powerful being and he needs to see what's going on. It's more of a, you have to let us see it so that we don't come up with this is a football decision and you're dealing with it internally so that you can get these guys on the field so you don't lose games and basically lose your job. That's the only reason why I think it has to be seen. If you don't like the 1-year suspension, then here's what you do. You sit them all down and you say, gentlemen, you're suspended indefinitely. And the amount of time that this suspension is going to be based off of you. And like you said, how hard you work and prove that you want to be on this team. Maybe that's a better route. Say you're suspended indefinitely, and then that gives them an opportunity to say, you know what, it's on you now, and now you have to work to put on that golden helmet, because that golden helmet, that jersey, that can't be like, it's got to feel like you have to earn it. It can't be something that's handed to you, because not everybody gets to put on that Notre Dame uniform each and every week. And it's kind of, when you say the whole, like, yeah, these guys are underclassmen, maybe they don't know what's expected of them. For 3 of them, okay, for the freshman who's Kevin Steverson, I'll give him the pass. He's a freshman. He's basically coming right out of high school. But for the other 3, yeah, you guys are sophomores, but you've been a part of this program for a year already. You should have at least a little bit, an inkling of what this program's about. You should have at least an inkling of what the program's about. So that's why I don't give them a pass, but I'll give the freshman a pass because he's brand new to the program.
And now if they would have come out and they would have said that, Redfield is dismissed, Butler is suspended indefinitely, and then all of the other 4 were suspended indefinitely as well, going along the terms that you kind of were saying, then I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But I think right now at this point, and if, I'm not upset the way they handled it with those 4, but if they would have said that these 4 are also suspended indefinitely really is at the discretion of the team. Indefinitely could mean 3 weeks. Indefinitely could mean, all right, they're now definitely going to play. They're no longer indefinitely suspended. They've almost, like you said, they've almost proven themselves and proven themselves to us that they are committed to focusing on football. Committed to being a good steward off the field for the university. I wouldn't have been upset with that either, but the way that they went about it, I'm still not upset with it.
Well, the only reason why I'm upset about it is they suspend Redfield and Butler, and then it kind of seems like the university is kind of like, not pounding their chest, but it's kind of like, oh, look at us, we brought the hammer down. No, you really didn't bring the hammer down. You got, like I said, you got rid of 2 guys that don't really hurt you because, like I said, Redfield, you can say, well, he deserved it because he's been in trouble in the past. That's fine. So he's expendable. And then, like you said, and we mentioned earlier, Butler was injured, so he wasn't going to play for a month. So he's expendable. The other 3 have potential and can help you, and one's going to be potentially a starter this year. I think if they would have came out and said, you know what, he's kicked off the team, he's suspended indefinitely, and these 4 are also suspended indefinitely, that would be closer to laying the hammer down than what they did.
This is a quote from Brian Kelly. So he said, quote, "The expectations we set for the members of our team are high, but they are especially so for the upperclassmen, who are expected to provide leadership and a positive example to the other members of the team. Max, and at least at this stage in the review of this case, Devin, have failed in that regard and so have lost the privilege of continuing to be part of our team," end quote. That's a huge part of it. These guys are the seniors. Those are the leader. That's the leadership. That's who the rest of the guys look up to. And that's why those guys were, 1, spend it indefinitely, and then dismiss from the team. Because if that's the type of leadership, it's not going to go well for the rest of the guys underneath them, because that's what they're going to be looking up to. That's who they're going to be going out with. That's who they're going to be following along. And that's the type of example that's going to be set for them. And that then will continue to trickle down to everybody else that comes into the team after them. That's why a decision needed to be made the way it did with the upperclassmen at the top. But I also think that that's why they made the decision in the way they did for the underclassmen. That's exactly why I think they did it. We're going to handle the rest of them internally. These were seniors. They knew better. They're done. But the rest of the underclassmen, they should know better. But we have a chance, because they'll be the leaders one day. We need to make them leaders now.
And kind of my last thoughts on it, I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. I might have been born at night, but I wasn't born last night. That's just how I feel with it. It's easy to get rid of two guys who are a little bit more expendable than the other two, but you guys let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section, whether you are listening to us on blogtalkradio.com or on YouTube, on our YouTube page.